Welcome back to Court Beyond, where the truth in America's courtrooms is exposed in its rawest form. Today's case is bound to have you questioning the very foundation of justice. Christopher Ryan stands before Judge Stevens, hoping to convince the court that his life has changed. After 2 years of probation, homelessness, and addiction, Christopher claims he has turned a new leaf, he's found a job, secured housing, and finally has the stability he once lacked. But as he speaks, something doesn't sit right. The judge senses something more is at play, and the truth begins to slowly unravel. Watch as Christopher tries to justify his failures to comply with probation and tell his side of the story. But as the judge digs deeper, a shocking truth emerges that no one saw coming. What Christopher doesn't realize is that his attempt to hide a critical detail could be the one thing that seals his fate. Stay with us for this gripping courtroom drama that will leave you questioning how the justice system works and how far someone is willing to go to escape the consequences of their actions.
Are you Christopher Ryan Cormier?
Yes, Your Honor.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm any statements you make during this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Lower your hand. You were here with Mr. Adams, your attorney, and the state's attorney. There's a motion to revoke unadjudicated probation that's been filed as of January 3rd of 24. Does the defendant waive a formal reading of this? Can we proceed in summary?
Yes.
We obviously have to clean up a mistake here. In summary, this motion to revoke probation alleges that on July 17th, 2023, in this criminal district court, you were placed on 5 years deferred or unadjudicated probation for forgery of a financial instrument. I'm sure that's instrument.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection to changing that to correct it? All right. That's corrected on this day to spell it right. I mean, it's obvious what it is, but nobody's asking for additional time to prepare because that mistake. All right. Is all of that true so far, sir?
It is, Your Honor.
Number one states you failed to report to the probation office for the months of September, October, November, December 2023 in violation of your probation order. Is that true or untrue?
That is true, Your Honor.
2, you failed to never become intoxicated or be under the influence of intoxicating substances on or about August 14th, 23. You admitted to using methamphetamine in violation of your probation order. Is that true?
That is correct, Your Honor.
And failing, it states you failed to perform community service hours as required. Did he perform any, ma'am?
Yes.
No. Is that true or untrue that you failed to perform any community service hours as required of you on your probation? And that was to begin on or about July 17th of 2023.
Your Honor, it is true. Because I did not report, I did not get the location or what to do.
But it's not.
But it is true.
It's your fault. Not,
It is, absolutely.
Okay. Are you pleading true then to allegations 1, 2, and 3 of this motion to revoke probation voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently, and because those allegations are true?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you understand by a knowing and voluntary plea of true to one or more violations of probation, that is enough to grant this motion to revoke probation by preponderance of the evidence or greater? Your deferred or unadjudicated probation can be revoked. You can be sentenced to no less than 180 days up to 2 years in the state jail, right? The state jail?
That's correct, Your Honor. Yes,
Knowing that, do you insist on pleading true to that?
I'm sorry.
Do you insist on pleading true to these allegations?
Yes, Your Honor.
I find you are pleading true voluntarily. You understand and appreciate the consequences of pleading true. The order on deferred adjudication misspells the attorney for the state. But that's not that. It misspells his name. That doesn't invalidate the order. All right. Is there an agreement here?
No, it's
Unagreed?
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Judge, I bring to your attention on the administrative.
Let me see your pre-sentence report.
I bring to your attention on the administrative hearing that was filed on 17/23. And if you look at the top, not paragraph, but the top of the document and the heading.
Yeah.
And if you see for his name, it says transient. And then in the findings that you had, it mentioned the defendant's being a transient, his lack of income. And he also.
Didn't you grow up in Vidor?
I did, yes, Your Honor.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, and it also mentioned that he did request help for his drug use. And I'm reading the paragraph where it says high needs officer, he's supposed to meet on 9/5/23 because of his pregnancy and lack of income, and he requested assistance for his drug use. And the reason why I point that out from the very start is that when he got on probation, we all knew that he was poor. He didn't have a place to stay because he was transient, and that his finances were not where he was unemployed, where he didn't have finances at all. He was basically struggling to live and to survive. So he got this deferred adjudication, and he wants to tell you in his own words why he was not able to report.
Go ahead.
Right.
Let's go.
So with you being in that financial situation that you was in, can you kind of tell us what happened when you got on this probation?
I mean, I had a camp behind Home Depot in the woods.
Okay.
No income, no job. That has potentially
What Home Depot were you at?
Off of Lucas.
So this is in Beaumont.
Oh, I'm sorry, Concord and the freeway there. It's in Beaumont.
Okay, so at the time you got on this probation, you was living in that camp, right?
Correct.
And while living in that camp, you were not working.
Correct.
So that means for your ability to pay, did you have any access to any resources to pay?
No, sir, I didn't.
And you had a property that could be sold?
No.
So on the 34, you violation condition 34, you had no possible way of paying, right?
That's not an issue. That's not an issue. He didn't admit to that. And I don't punish anybody for inability to pay. Let's go on to what we're really here for.
Okay.
His failure to appear, using drugs, and not doing community service. Failing to show up for probation.
Well, your inability to pay would also go to those other three as well, because on the failure report, you were at the homeless camp by the Home Depot.
That's right.
And that Home Depot, would that be on, I guess, I-10?
Yes, no Peter Road.
On Peter Road. And then were you required to physically report at the probation department?
Correct, yes.
And being on that probation department, how far was the probation department from that Home Depot?
Here in downtown from there, I would say at least 10 miles.
At least 10 miles. And did you have any transportation to get you there to read a report?
Not even a bicycle. No.
And with that being said, would it be quite dangerous for you to try to walk on that highway, I-10 to get to downtown?
It would be. I've been stopped before walking.
And he said he'd been stopped before for the walk.
I've been stopped before for walking during the daytime.
So are you saying that would have been a significant danger to your health and your body to try to walk on that I-10 interstate?
Yes, sir, that'd be true.
All right, and then on the failure to report your community service, if you don't have a bicycle, if you're living homeless in a homeless camp behind the Home Depot, what was the community service that you were asked to do?
Wasn't able to get to report, so I don't know what it would have been.
Okay, so with that being the case, you didn't know what the community service was because you weren't able to report.
That would be correct.
Now, on the admitted to the drug use, the methamphetamine from the very top, is this something that you purchased or something that you were given?
Something I was given. I had no money, no income. What I did have, I was put your food to survive.
Right. And the reason why I had read to the judge earlier in the findings is that when you first got on this probation and when you were supposed to have the meeting on 9/5/23, everybody knew from the probation department all the way down is that you didn't have a place to live, you didn't have any income, and even at that time, you had a drug problem because you requested assistance for that, right?
That would be correct, yes, sir.
So this relapse that you had on using the meth that was not paid for by you, but did that go to your drug problem?
Absolutely.
So are you saying with you being homeless, being poor, having a drug problem, not having any money, not having a bicycle, not having anybody that can help you, family, friends, or otherwise, are you asking that the court give you one more shot at probation?
That would be great because I now have a job.
So what you're saying now is that your circumstances at the time and address, right? Your circumstances then when you're living homeless in a homeless camp with no money, no nothing, that circumstance from then to today has changed, right?
Yes, it has.
So tell us specifically how that circumstance has now changed.
I've got a construction job where I work Monday through Friday, and I have access to a vehicle at the home where I stay at. So I have a ride guaranteed, verbalized while I was in jail as well, that I can get to it from my meetings and do right.
Are you still living in that homeless camp? Well, not obviously you're
No,
in
no.
jail, but what I'm saying is that if you were released,
I have an address.
you have an address to go to. And what will that address be again?
4444 Harding.
And that's a physical home.
Yes, it is.
Now, and then when you said you also have that job, right?
I do.
And you say you do construction?
Yes, I do. Handyman, construction work, painting houses, finishing houses, stuff like that.
And who would be your employer?
I do by the name of Mike Frost.
So basically what you're saying is that the probation department, the judge continues you on probation. They could call Mr. Mike right now and he would say, hey, Christopher Ryan Cormier has a job for me right now and he will be able to work. That's something they can pick up the phone and verify.
Yes, it is.
So you'll have a job, you'll have a place to stay. And with that, the other issue was you said that the transportation with being able to report.
And the individual who owns the home I stay with has offered to get me to and from my meetings to be able to report.
Okay. So then I guess here's my last question is what happened from then to now? And what I mean by that is then you were living in a homeless camp, you didn't have a bike, didn't have transportation, you didn't have nothing. And then now we're in court, you have a job, you will have a place to stay, then you have transportation. How were you able to get that?
Simply summed up, I was down on my luck at the time, and
You said a what
I
now?
was down on my luck.
You down on your luck? Okay, go ahead.
And I got an opportunity to work. If you look at my resume, I've got a hell of a resume.
Heck of a resume, right? And that heck of a resume, just a short version of it is what?
When did you get the opportunity to get employed? When did that happen?
About 2 months ago.
About what then?
It was towards the end of the month, towards the end of December.
So with that heck of a resume that you have, and now you do, and like I said, they can pick up the phone and call to verify your job, and they can pick up the phone and they can be able to call that you got a place to live.
Yes.
And when we first got on probation, everybody knew up front that you didn't have a place to live and you were homeless and everything, right? So now can you be successful in ways that you were not able to be successful before?
I feel confident that I am, yes.
And then our last argument that we would make would be with this offense being forgery of a financial instrument, one that's not a non-violent crime, right? And then with this non-violent crime, and I see your violations have been nothing to do with violence, right?
Correct.
You're not going to be a danger to the community, anything like that, right?
Absolutely.
And you'll be able to, with your job, help restitution with this person with the financial instrument, correct?
Absolutely.
So are you saying that when we look at balancing the scales, you admitting you down on your luck, but that if you're given the chance, if we look at where you were and look at where you are, you come a long way.
Absolutely.
And in coming a long way, you asking for a little mercy, right?
Yes, I am.
right? Because everybody in their lives have some trouble, some hills, some mountains to climb. And in this case, you climbed a pretty big, tall mountain to get from where you were to where you are.
Sure.
And that's good. That's positive.
Is there anything else you want to add that would be important on his probation, you think, on his performance while on probation? Anything at all?
But
I now have the means I can get to the meeting to report. I have the ability to pay.
No, anything at all.
about how he's been doing?
Yeah, anything at all.
I guess if I'm understanding that question, as far as how you were doing on probation, while you were living in that tent with no transportation and no running water and no running lights, how were you doing at that time leading up to now?
Very poorly versus getting back on my feet and back to what my life has been.
So in terms of how you were doing, I'm trying to answer the question of how you were doing while you were
Or otherwise, were you doing fine?
Health wise,
I'm talking about you weren't following you weren't reporting. We know that. And you weren't doing your community service, but everything else you're doing fine, you think?
Yes, sir.
All right. Is that your final answer?
Yes.
All right. What about the theft conviction in November?
Yeah.
Did you forget to tell me about that? Stealing from Home Depot and you got convicted? You did 30 days in November.
Yes, sir.
Did you forget that?
No, sir, it wasn't brought up. I would.
It wasn't brought up. Good luck with that answer. You don't think that's an elephant in this room?
Surely it is. Yes, sir.
You think we were just going to be stupid and
Absolutely.
forget about it?
No,
And
sir.
I gave you a fair opportunity for the last 20 minutes to bring it up. All right. But you were convicted. You're on my probation. You're stealing from Home Depot, about $200 worth of stuff. And you did 30 days in county jail
Yes, sir, I did.
while on this court's probation. Much less the other violations you committed. And you don't want to be straight with me. I gave you that opportunity. Anything else? I already stretched it out along to give you the hint. There's got to be something else. But you just didn't feel like you were honest enough to tell.
That's not the case, sir. I didn't think so. And I figured that-
It's 30 days in jail slipped your mind?
No, sir, it did not.
All right.
In the legal proceedings, I didn't know where we were at, or if that was going to be.
Okay. Go ahead.
Your Honor, again, as you know, the defendant was
What are you
only,
asking for?
18 months state jail.
What are you asking for?
He was on continue or put him on straight probation since it was deferred. You can
Fine. Anything else you want to answer?
No, sir.
All right, if not, I'm going to find you have pleaded true to allegations 1, 2, and 3 in this motion to revoke probation voluntarily, knowingly, intelligently. That is sufficient to grant this motion to revoke probation by a preponderance of the evidence or greater. And your deferred or unadjudicated probation is hereby revoked. Earlier in this case, you pleaded guilty voluntarily to the state jail felony. You were mentally competent to do so. You understood and appreciated the consequences of pleading guilty. There was sufficient evidence supporting your guilty plea to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. I now find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this state jail felony of forgery. And you were hereby sentenced to confinement in the state jail for 18 months. You will be given credit for all time you have served in relevance to this case. You were put on probation for dishonesty. You committed an act of dishonesty, and you were dishonest in front of me. My recommendation, I would urge you to find honesty in your character and start using that. That is all. Tydrick Davis, come on up. Tydrick Davis.
In Your Honor, I believe is the PSI in that other file. I'd borrowed that from probation.
Thank you. Are you on this one?
Thank you.
No. I wasn't.
And say Mr. Davis is himself.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't know about that either.
In the end, Christopher's attempt to keep the truth hidden was his downfall. While he pleaded for another chance, hoping for some mercy, the judge uncovered a crucial detail, a hidden theft conviction that completely changed the course of his case. His dishonesty not only compromised his defense, but also cost him the opportunity to regain his freedom. As a result, Christopher was sentenced to 8 months in state jail. This moment is a powerful reminder of how truth and transparency are vital in court, especially when someone's freedom is on the line. But it raises an important question. Did the judge make the right call, or was Christopher given a harsher punishment than he deserved? What do you think about the outcome of this case? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. This is Court Beyond, where justice is always on display.